Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thanks so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We're taking a look here again at ICP, seeing what's going on. We're going to double check a few important things. When we looked at this last, the price action was rejecting out at that specific 0.618 fib level, about 740. If you recall correctly, the price has since broken through, retested as a support, more likely to increase from here. Keep in mind we might see some chop between now and then because Bitcoin did just surge past its local resistance about 56,000 roughly. It's trending towards 56.7 as a potential point of control there. So, if you're considering a short on Bitcoin, that would make a little bit more sense there. If you're considering a short on ICP, I would wait because there's a lot of confirming factors here that are more bullish than bearish. Okay, so again, just some friendly advice. The market's in a transition right now. It can be weird to try to trade both long or short based on the simple sense of where we're at right now. Okay, now if you did catch my videos over the weekend, I covered Cardano and SUI. Good little 65% profit from SUI and 21%, I guess you could say 22% from Cardano. If you're not familiar with that, read through my trade alerts. You'll understand why we took those trades. I specifically highlight that in our trade alerts section now in our Discord. That's available to all memberships. Otherwise, at this point, just keep watching the videos and learning. Do what you can to understand the big picture, right? And that's the whole point of these videos, is to give you some knowledge so you can understand how to do this yourself someday, right? Or just continue to help influence a good decision-making and best practice in being a responsible trader. I am far from a moon boy, you'll know that. I'll just go ahead and tell you straight how it is, not what you want to hear. So I hope you can appreciate that. Hit the like button if you do. Let's go ahead and double check a couple things here with ICP. We can recognize that, again, there's a lot of liquidation here, about $8. Some of these are late shorts rather. But also we've got some late longs down here at about 650 to 670. Keep in mind, those aren't longs taken at that level. Those are more so just liquidation levels that are there for people wanting to take longs on this coin. Okay, so those could very well change at any moment. The key takeaway I would say here is that we have a pretty solid amount of liquidation at $9. We've talked about that previously. That's still there. That's from the more recent high. You can also recognize that 650 is also that heavy concentration. So just say we were to lose this, one of our more local lows, maybe $7 or $7.20, it would make sense that 650 would be the next target. Again, a lot of that hinges on Bitcoin pulling back, which is still a possibility. I just think it's less likely at this point because Bitcoin does have some good momentum, a good amount of volume too, minus the fact that we have a CME gap here that's kind of throwing things off. We should be able to see Bitcoin hold and maintain its range and potentially continue higher. Right? Again, a lot of coins are looking like they want to break out. ICP's kind of already done so. Having said that, though, are we going to retest our local high here? Well, let's take a look at larger time frame stuff and kind of recognize where we're at. Let's go ahead and start with our daily time frame first and just kind of double check a few things. First of all, thing to recognize here is we do have a fair value gap from 720 upwards of 740. Okay, so that's going to be an area we want to kind of pay attention to and understand that, hey, price could pull back because it did jump pretty strong up yesterday in the last 24 hours. And now with us continuing higher up, sometimes you see those gaps get filled. For example, Bitcoin had a CME gap on its hourly time frame here that was already previously basically settled, right? So we see that level there, it just got swept, okay? Now again, it's not a guarantee. You could say that about every fair value gap because it inevitably gets filled. It's just a matter of when. So really it doesn't tell you a ton. It just tells you that, hey, this price moved up too quick and there could be a reckoning and the price could absolutely pull back to that level. It could be something as simple as a candle wick and the price continues higher. It could be just nothing at all. We may not see that at all, okay? Not trying to convince you the price is going to pull back. Just kind of letting you know that that is a very real thing, and we can see our local point of control at 725. So me personally, I'm just going to set kind of a loose alert here at that level, so we kind of understand, generally speaking, hey, maybe I want to reevaluate and take a long there if the price pulls back. Because again, we got a lot of support there on the macro. Taking a look at, of course, the backend data, we can see that overall we're in pretty good shape here. We're right at 50 on the RSI. We do want to be above that to be able to feel confident in taking a long, but generally speaking, our TSI is increasing, our MACD is about to converge, and then of course our traditional indicator here, stochastic RSI, is already converging. So these are generally good signs to warrant a long position with more confidence. We are coming up against a lot of moving averages though, and that's not generally a favorable sign being below those. Again, most coins are still below these moving averages, but again, getting above that's going to be super important. All right, again, we want to pay attention to that honestly more so on the 4 hour. If we're over the 50 and the 20, which we are, then that's usually a confirmational sign. Okay, generally speaking, that's a trade you want to kind of consider taking when you're over 50 and the 20, specifically on the 4 hour. I like it on the 4 hour personally. Some people might prefer the 5 hour or the 3.5 hour chart. I like to use less time frames because I think it's less confusing, and you get better confirmation by taking a weighted average of the three. I do think each time frame that I use serves a good purpose. You got the larger time frames, the transitionary time frame, and the smaller. So try to be careful if you're watching other traders that are like trading with like a 27-minute chart and like just some really ridiculous numbers. Again, I think less is more, and if you're just looking at every single time frame for try to convince yourself to take a trade, you're doing it wrong. You should be convincing yourself not to take a trade, and honestly, less is more. While I do use a handful of indicators, they're all specifically designed for certain timeframes, and I think it's important to just follow a good system and make sure if your system works, you honor it, right? Take a look here at the RSI on the 4-hour. We're getting closer to 70, close to an overextended state, but we're not quite there yet. Money flow index is high. Keep in mind that includes low volume weekends and previous volume from Friday dropped off, so that's instantly going to shoot up. But the truth is that staying consistent, that's a good sign. It's relevant to the fact that we're seeing more money flowing in now than we did a day and a half or 2 days ago. Again, that's a good thing. Keep in mind the MFI and RSI, they're always based on a 14 candlestick lag. And on the 4-hour time frame, that's roughly a day and a half, 2 days ago. Either way you look at it here, MACD is still converging. 4-hour time frame looks pretty solid. We're specifically up over the 200 SMA as well, so further upside would again make sense here. Another thing to recognize too, a lot of times when you have these cup and handle patterns, this isn't exactly the case, but it is starting to fulfill that pattern. In other words, we can presume, based on double top or double bottoms being very consistent, that we're going to have a rejection at 775, 780. Okay, so I might consider a short trade at that point, just kind of seeing where we're at. Again, I'm going to reevaluate, see what's going on there, but if we're overextended leading into that, it may be a decent consideration for a quick short. TD sequential is telling us we're overextended already, so keep that in mind. The further up we go without retracement, the more likely we are to pull back. It's exactly why fair value gaps exist, because they show you that the price has moved too fast and it's due for a correction. Okay, so we got that macro, fair value gap. I think it's on the daily timer. Was it 720? Yeah, 720 to 740 range. So just know we could see 720 to 740 revisited. If so, again, possible consideration for a long there. If not, possible consideration for a short of 775. Let's quickly look at Ichimoku Cloud and consider here just a few important factors. Recognize that we have truly bullish momentum here. So when I just kind of loosely spitball and say 775, I'm going to consider a short. I'm not just going to set a limit order right there at 100x leverage and just walk away. No way. If I'm going to take a trade, I'm going to watch it kind of close, and I'm going to make sure if it's a swing trade that we are essentially topping out, and I want to reevaluate at that time. I don't just jump in blindly. It's just not a smart call. So again, friendly advice, if you're going to consider setting alerts like I do, it's perfectly fine. Just make sure you do yourself a favor and perform a little bit of due diligence and make sure you look at that closely. Either way you look at it here, we're good to go in the overall sense. Our TPO is probably below the price action, which implies the bulls are in control. And if we can see there, bulls are in control. 745 is that local point of control. So we can see that this trading period, we got the most amount of support at 745. Yeah. So again, that kind of just reaffirms that there was a cup and handle. The price comes up like this, and we see the price come down to bounce off this level here. It's generally what we're looking for. So right now at this point, it's still too premature to want to take it long because I think we're kind of late. And I think it's also very premature to consider a short. If you're going to favor on either side, long would make the most sense. Just be mindful that Bitcoin is very, very good at being a shenanigan monster. And it has a fair value gap, correction, a CME gap, roughly the same concept, down below the price action as low as 54,000. I like to mention that in all my videos because it's important to recognize that that is a very real target for the market makers. And Asia has been super good about giving us false positives. In other words, they let the price get to these confirming factors, show that we're all good to go. Awesome, Bitcoin broke 56,000. And then at the end of the trading day, once traditional markets close, an hour or two later, between 5 and 6 p.m., maybe 7 p.m. Pacific, we see Asia just dump the market. Pretty much every red candle you can see here is Asia just giving us this destruction every single time. Okay, so again, it's pretty consistent. So just bear that in mind. We had a profitable weekend. Asia hasn't secured any profits yet. They didn't do much at all last night. Strong chance we'll see something tonight. So just be mindful of that. I really hope I'm wrong. The price continues higher. That'd be fantastic. But at this point, if you're going to be understanding that, going into a long position with ICP, you want to recognize that adjusting your stop loss higher as you secure profits is a good call. Try not to listen to those other idiots that are telling you just to hold, hodl to the moon. You know what hodling does to a high leverage trade? Go take a look at your fees. You'll see it. Anyways, I hope you learned something here today. Thanks again so much for watching. That's pretty much all we got here for now. I'll post our playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. Looks a little something like this. Again, there's impersonators out there, unfortunately, so just make sure it is cash trading. And hopefully these are things that you'll find benefit from. So link down below for that if you're curious. Jump on over to our, again, Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. We got an awesome group here. Hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you again soon. Thanks again for your time. Bye-bye.